Hey everyone, I'm Jordan with Walker Pharmacy in Statesboro, Georgia. I'm a pharmacist, and I wanted to come and talk to you today a little bit about an article I recently read on Fox Business's website. It caught my eye because of how it was titled and kind of what it suggested, and it's talking about drug prices. That's something that you've all seen in the news, you've all read the articles, you've seen it covered on TV, heard it on the radio, and you're right, and the article's right in a way, but the way it was framed told me that, we can do something about this and we can educate you about this. And this doesn't have to happen this way, even though drug prices overall in this country are insane. There's a solution, and it's not Congress, it's not the government, it's not the president, it has nothing to do with them. It has to do with you and your pharmacy. So the article was on Fox Business a few days ago. And the title was what caught my eye, and then I read it. The title was 13 million Americans skip medication due to high prescription cost, a survey says. This was a survey done prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. So it was done back in 2019. And they asked people, have you ever stopped or skipped or not filled medication because of the price? And they came up with a number of 13 million Americans that are not taking their medication as prescribed due to the cost, the high cost. First, let me say that the cost of medicine in this country overall, if you look at it in total, is high. It's astronomically high. It has way outpaced inflation over the last 10 years. If you think inflation is crazy right now, just go back and look at drug prices over the last 10 years. I can show you our invoices from our wholesalers. I'm starting to get a little desensitized to it, but we're spending well over double on medicines every single day to reorder medications that we spent 10 years ago. I mean, they have just gone up so much over the past several years. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I don't know all of them. I don't want to cover all of them. But there's a lot of reasons for that. But there's one thing that's misunderstood about that. There's also another article I was reading that I pulled after reading that article, and I want to kind of share with you a stat here. This is from the RAND Corporation. They did a study on drug prices, and they came up with prescription drug prices in the United States are 2.56 times higher than those in other countries on average. So drug prices overall, when you look at it in total, they are 256% more than the average of other countries that were surveyed in the report. That's often reported. You've heard that. You've probably heard that by politicians. You've heard that on the news. You've heard that, wow, the United States has way higher drug prices than other places in the world. Why is that? Congress should do something about that. Maybe they should. The fact of the matter is, they're not very good at doing anything right now. So they're not going to solve your problem. They're not going to help you get your medication any cheaper. Those are cheap campaign promises, and they don't mean anything. But you can do something about it. I want to share with you a piece of information that's on further down in this same report that you never hear reported on, and that is that generic drug prices, so there are brand name drugs that are marketed by one company, manufactured by one company, and are under patent protection. And then there are products that are allowed to be made by multiple companies, therefore they have price competition, and those are called generics. So for instance, Lipitor would be a brand. Atorvastatin that you can also get now is a generic and is way cheaper than the brand name Lipitor. If you just look at generic drug prices, they're cheaper on average in the United States than other countries in the world on average. They're cheaper. So even though we're way higher on average, generic drugs are cheaper. That means that brand drugs are what's driving that high cost in the United States. That's probably because we are the country that's coming up with most of those drugs. We are the country that rewards those big pharma drug companies with patents that protect them for a few years and let them make back the money and then some. They make a lot of money on those. But Big Pharma also solves problems and cures diseases. So it's a double-edged sword. It's something we're going to have to live with to be innovative. You're going to have higher prices in a country like this that offers those types of patent protections. Now, that being said, most common drugs, because what they were pointing to in this article is that people aren't taking their heart medicine or their blood pressure medicine or their diabetes medicine. Here's the key to that. Those diseases can be treated most of the time with very cheap generic drugs. So you don't always need the newest Cadillac $1,000 drug to treat your condition. there are oftentimes generic alternatives, either direct generics for that drug or drugs in the same class that are very similar, drugs in a different class that will do almost the same thing and be almost as effective or equally effective. There are generic options, cheaper alternatives, probably 9 times out of 10. Now, there are times when you will need a very specific drug. My daughter's on a very expensive drug. There is no generic alternative. We're fortunate to be in a situation where we're in a clinical trial for it, so we get it for free right now. But that drug's thousands of dollars a month for people who have to pay out of pocket for it. So those are concerning, and those are totally different situations. There's just not an alternative, and those are the ones that people maybe should be thinking, can I afford this or not? But the solution, like I said, is not legislation. It's not the government. The solution is you. And the solution is you building a relationship with your pharmacist. I personally believe you should build a relationship with your pharmacist at a locally owned, locally operated independent drugstore. You should find one. You should not go to Walgreens. You should not go to CVS. You should not go to Walmart. You should not go to any of these big box chain stores. A lot of reasons for that, but number one is you will build a closer relationship if you can walk in and talk to an independent pharmacist who actually has time to talk to you and wants to build that relationship with you one-to-one because you are his patient, his or her patient, and his or her customer. So I recommend you go to an independent pharmacy, but there are good pharmacists in chain drugstores, a little harder to find. Go to an independent pharmacy, talk to your pharmacist, build a relationship. Then here's what you can do. When you have a drug that is more expensive than you're willing to pay on a monthly basis, the solution is not necessarily to stop taking it, to skip doses, to make it last longer. Those are not solutions. The solution is not to write your congressman or call your representative and ask them to fix it. Like I said, it's not going to happen in a timely manner. The solution is to go to your pharmacy and talk to your pharmacist about cheaper, more affordable alternatives. Let them know, hey, I'm probably not going to be able to afford that regularly. Are there any alternatives that we can talk about? They will present those to you. They will probably have a lot of good ideas. And then here's what they will do. They will do their job as part of your healthcare team by contacting your doctor and having that discussion, because it's not their call whether we change that drug. We're not going to change something that your doctor prescribed and give you something different. Can't legally do that. What we're going to do is call your physician, your nurse practitioner, your PA, whoever prescribed that to you. We're going to call that office and we're going to have a discussion with them about the fact that you can't afford that. And we're going to talk to them about solutions, whether that's coupons, whether that's trying to get it approved with a prior authorization on your insurance plan, or if you're uninsured, or if it's just not going to be covered, or if we know of a cheaper generic alternative, we're going to make that recommendation that they consider changing it. And then it's their call as between them and you, whether they want to change that drug. But oftentimes, most of the time, they're going to be fine with the recommendation we make, and it's going to save you a lot of money, a boatload of money. Like I said, with these prices just going through the roof, you could be talking hundreds of dollars, you could be talking thousands of dollars a year. I mean, there's really no end over the course of a lifetime how much you can save by building a relationship with your pharmacist and by talking to them about the economic and financial impact of your prescriptions. Have that conversation with them. Keep them in the loop. Use us as a resource and a reference in order for us to be able to help you out. So, yes, there are lots of Americans not taking their drugs as prescribed due to the cost of drugs. It is not a helpless thing. You can take control of your health. You can use your healthcare team. You can use your doctor. You can use us, your pharmacist. You can use your team to find a solution that fits your needs from a health standpoint and a financial standpoint. It can be done. There are going to be situations where there is not a cheap drug available to treat whatever issue you may have, but we're going to work with you through that and try to find solutions. That's just what you need to use us for. So again, my recommendation, if you're having trouble affording your medication, or if you just feel like you can't afford it, but you're like, man, I don't want to pay this every month. With inflation how it is, I need to spend that on gas and food. That's fine. Keep that open line of communication with your pharmacist. Build that relationship. Find a pharmacy that you can love and trust and that loves and will take care of you. So that's our recommendation. If you're in Statesboro, Bullitt County, Brooklet, or soon in Toombs County or Lyons, Georgia, we look forward to serving you. Come into one of our pharmacies, and our pharmacists are trained and they help people every day with stuff like this. So again, find a pharmacist you trust and use them as a reference, because you can overcome the cost of drugs and you can tap into those cheaper generic options that work just as well and that can solve your problems for astronomically lower prices. So good luck. I hope that's helpful to everyone. Share this with your friends. Share this with everyone. The solution is not the government. The solution is you and your healthcare team. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.